Heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
GrokTALK.
Oh, I turned too many mics on before they were on people's heads. Oh, my bad. I apologize.
Scrunch, rattle.
Scrunch, rattle, clunk, bang. Welcome back to GrokTALK. I was going to say we were talking about social issues, and the Garcia campaign came out with a statistic. Ann Kuster apparently has only voted on 2% of bills or whatever resolutions regarding social issues, yet she's running on being the defender of social issues, except for the other 98% of the time. So anyway.
Wow. I see a backlash coming on social issues, and I think that the conservatives are going to get more credibility. I think this conventional wisdom is that, we'll give up on those because those are over. I don't see it that way. I see a backlash really coming, and coming soon.
Skip's like, please, sir, may I have a headset?
And I think we should. I think we should trumpet those issues because I think there's actually. Look at the abortion debate. That the numbers are very close in terms of pro-life, pro-choice people.
It's swinging pro-choice.
And it's swinging.
He's still talking, even though he doesn't have it. Were you going to say something? Because you took his headset. Or did you just want to stop him from talking?
Mike Rogers was saying it's swinging pro-life, which it is swinging pro-life, and and part of it is because the videos are out, right? The in utero videos. When people start to really see, more and more people are shifting to a pro-life position. So.
Holy cow.
The post I put up last night, which was a stunner from the American thinker, writer by the name of Sally, whose last name I can't pronounce, went through all of the stuff that the conservative base, is so upset with the Republican elite, the Republican establishment. And a big part of that, when you talk about the backlash, and you talk about the social issues, we've seen the elite, the Republican establishment, run away for years now, more than a decade. Social issues don't count. They're too divisive. They're too controversial. The problem is, in real world, social issues matter. And by running away, they've basically hung the conservatives out to dry. Not only that, but they deride them. Right. They denigrate them. They go after them and tell them to shut up because we can't make waves to win elections. So how'd that work out for the Republicans here in New Hampshire in 2006 and 2008? Then the conservatives roared back and said, we don't care. We're uniting with the libertarians over limited government, and we drug the NHGOP folks across the line, and then we got hammered for it. Right. And once again, we're seeing, remember, you don't have a mic, Mike. The social issues matter because all social issues have a fiscal cost. And by ignoring it, why should we help people that are telling us, shut up? This is the dichotomy, what I consider the plain view, plain spoken truth of I'm supposed to help people, like you were reading from that email earlier today, that don't like me to say anything. They don't value what I believe, and yet I'm supposed to support you in being the junior lackeys of the welfare state and the junior partners of the Democrats, but I'm not supposed to say anything right now? Screw you. The unwritten principle of voting for the winner of the primary, I'll go with that, but only after those primary winners start following the actual written principles of the party. And part of that is, whether you like it or not, whether you're embarrassed or not, whether you think that's too low brow or not, and I really think that's the problem. As long as you're not going to support the party platform, then why should I support you?
They don't realize that the president of SNHU is not going to vote for them if they do that. That all of those illegal immigrants who come across the border to get the free stuff, they don't vote for Republicans. They vote for Democrats. That's the way it is. You can talk about illegal immigration and making it legal, but all you're going to do is make more Democrat voters. If you aren't even smart enough to look at the numbers, I mean, these people don't care. They're just trying to get you to lay down. And if you do, they will eventually replace you with real Democrats.
Well, and we're having the 7 bad years right now with Obama. Flood, pestilence, and plague. We have the flood of illegal immigrants. We have the pestilence of tuberculosis and EV68. And we have the plague of Ebola.
Waiting for the frogs.
Indeed.
Ribbit.
Indeed.
After you.
In the interim, though, I am prepared to introduce legislation at the New Hampshire House that will provide free birth control for any Democrat or progressive. Period.
I like it.
I'm willing to raise money to fund their birth control.
Yeah, a couple of jokes came to my mind, but they're very.
I had a discussion about that very briefly with Mark Stein a couple of years ago.
I would love it to think that they're actually self-limiting their population, but it never seems to quite work out. There always seems to be. Maybe that's why they want the immigrants. Because
they're very good at recruiting. They have the whole educational system. They have the old media entertainment complex. They own it all. They dominate it, and they just keep pumping their message out over and over and over. It's the 2 minutes hate. It just it never ends. And Breitbart was right. We still aren't taking over the media culture. That is where the battle is won. That is why we do this program. That is why we blog. That is why, you are not going to win unless you keep sending your message out, hoping with bait on a hook that somebody's going to take it and go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to influence at the university level, but media is where it's at. The Tea Party movement should spend all of its time on media, as far as I'm concerned, trying to infiltrate media, protest at media outlets, because that's where the action is.
And if you take over the media, then you can get to education. I mean, because you're not going to do it the other way.
Yeah, it's happening little by little, I think. I think it's starting to really happen.
Okay, I'm going to interject once more. Breitbart said the same thing. Politics is downstream from culture. When the Republicans say they're not going to engage in the culture, then they're basically saying, well, we're staying home. The exact same thing that they berate us about doing. Well, if you're not going to engage in the culture, you're going to lose, period. That's why Rick Santorum's gone to head up a movie company. But you're absolutely right, Steve. Absolutely right, because if you don't change the culture, you're not going to change the politics. But I also like your line that you just said, and I'm not even sure that you realize it. I think GrokTALK has a new tagline: bait on a hook.
Bait on a chum the waters.
Bait on a hook. Okay, I'll write that down.
That's good.
We'll use that next week.
It is happening, and I believe there's some room.
A hook.
I think there's some room in the kind of independent, college-educated sort of middle to pull people in. I think there's people are waiting. My students, when they come in, they're relatively conservative when they start, but when they're done, they're propagandized. They lose it. They're lost. But I think there's room in the middle.
Do you ask them, hey, have you figured out how you're going to pay for your portion of the national debt?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Forget retirement.
You need to bring us into your class.
I'd love to. Love to bring you into our
Have a panel discussion.
I would absolutely love to do that. Well, what I'm hoping to do is that the school will allow me. I actually want to start a men's center on campus, right? Because there's the women's study, the women's. I know, rape culturist, misogynist, right? But there's a women's studies program. There's a women's center. There's no men's study.
What women's studies? What the hell are they studying?
How to hate men. That's how to hate men. There's the rules of men hating, and they study that at the beginning.
You got to understand that when a man admires what you're wearing, that's rape. Okay, got to understand that. If you don't have a grasp on those fine details.
But don't you have to sign papers for that now in California?
If a man holds the door for you, that's rape. Yeah. You got to get this all down.
I asked my sexuality, human sexuality. I teach human sexuality. I asked them yesterday
What?
I teach human sexuality.
It's
Is there
SNHU.
a lab?
There is a lab. Would you like to be in it? Actually, there is. I'll give you the dates when we're done here. Yeah. So.
But we had a discussion the last time he was on about why SNHU actually let him.
For this?
Of course they do. They're getting my tutelage.
Susan's face is so.
You were never in Stillwater, Oklahoma, were you?
No, I haven't been Stillwater. But there's a lot of good beer there.
Susan's face is so.
He's only got about a minute. Let him finish his thought.
We could sell photos as the next Mona Lisa.
I asked them, how can a man compliment a woman? What are the appropriate acceptable ways a man is allowed to
What isn't rape?
Good
a
gold
woman?
jewelry,
Yeah.
weekend trips. No.
No, I didn't say how does he
You're not
seduce a
serious.
woman. Not how to seduce a woman. How does he compliment a woman?
You got to ask
And
the
you-
question because they don't know how to answer.
You have to say something like,
I like your shoes.
somebody told me
That's
that
rape.
somebody told me that you're wearing nice shoes, or apparently that's a nice dress. You have to abstract yourself out of it. You can't say anything personal. So I challenged him. How would a man actually compliment a woman? To sort of do that. So it's bizarre and it's out of control.
Well, see, that's
So-
the
And you
thing.
teach this.
Yes, I do. Have a great
Jiminy
opportunity.
Christmas.
Actually, you
So-
see, it's important because
What's
he
the
can.
test?
I show
Staying
How does
out
one
of
score that test?
I show
Excuse me.
pictures of a penis and a
Yeah.
vagina, and I say, circle the correct one, and then they get to circle the correct one. That's pretty much, A or B.
I think that's just not inclusive.
It's not inclusive.
But it's a good class, and I actually am
Okay.
teaching it from
Tab
a relatively
A, slot B.
conservative perspective. Yeah,
It's pretty simple.
yeah. I talk about relationships and
It's-
spirituality, not just sex. I'm bringing a lot of things.
In this
into it, more
particular
than-
circumstance, given the way the culture is, there is an opportunity for a gentleman like him to fix some heads. But normally you wouldn't think you'd want to waste any time on something like
But
that. at
yesterday
college
was
level.
my last class after the show, actually. So
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been done. Yesterday was my last class.
So are
But
they-
now I have proof if they fire me that there's a reason that they fire me. So I actually can maybe I can sue somebody now. Maybe my first my first lawsuit
Oh,
in life.
lovely.
Maybe.
Viewer, what is it?
Viewer.
bias?
Viewer bias.
Viewer bias?
Yes.
Yes, viewer bias. Maybe
Outlook
Jennifer
viewer
Horn
bias.
can help me how to sue that for that viewer bias. Yeah.
Well, there was no pool, so I don't know if she's got the skill set. But anyway, can't say it was a dull show.
No.
Certainly can't say that.
What? Is there a degree in that? Or is
Of
that
course.
like an elective?
Oh, sexuality is a huge fit. It is an elective here, but there's major degrees in sexuality, right? Yeah. And, Kinsey,
I got mine from the School of Hard Knocks. If that's what you want.
many people blame Kinsey for really
knocked
the
up.
beginning of the beginning of the sexual revolution was really the beginning of progressivism in the United States. It really pushed it forward, right?
There's a
It's
lot of
all about
connections.
Kinsey,
I mean, if
right?
you go all the way back, I mean, abortion
She's a
today is a
fucking-
result of the contraception decision,
Yeah.
and so let me know when you're going to do that so I can take. All right, well, next week on human sexuality in New Hampshire. Oh wait, no, on GrokTALK, we have guests. We always have guests. And next week we'll let Skip talk more. So thanks for spending some time with us. We'll try to get the pool boy back, pool guy. We'll try to get Pool Guy back to make sure that we can have a chat with him about this situation that he has, and maybe you can help us help him figure out whose deck fell into Jennifer Horn's pool. Welcome back next week. That's all I got. We'll be back next week. We'll see you. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, baby.
When asked whether she still supports Obamacare, Senator Jeanne Shaheen said,
Yes, I do continue to support the law. We're beginning to see some positive results.
how can Senator Shaheen say we're seeing positive results when 22,000 of our neighbors have already lost their health insurance? What's worse, the Boston Globe reports the state's only health insurance provider radically reduced the number of hospitals in their network, forcing some people to drive over an hour for lab work, even when there's a hospital within a few miles of their home. When pressed about lack of access, Shaheen said,
There are some hospitals that are not covered, unfortunately, and I certainly hope that's going to change.
Jeanne Shaheen promised us we could keep our doctors and our healthcare coverage. Now she hopes we can get to a local hospital? Call Senator Shaheen at 603-647-7500. Tell her we need more than hope. We need leadership. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by saberpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
All of the music on this program comes to us through Creative Commons licensing from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the speakers and not necessarily those of CNHT, GrokTALK.com, or anyone else for that matter.
GrokTALK.